Alright, so in this video I'm going to go through item by item the things you'll need to test a Pokey with the method that we're going to test a Pokey through an Atari 7800. So the first thing you need is a monitor, a working monitor. Now, this is a working monitor. Monitors are all different power sources, different kind of things. So I am not going to show the power cord and everything, but this is a working monitor. I did have some problems connecting to a monitor that was one of the newer digital monitors that had channels like 2.1, 2.2, 3.1. This is an older monitor that just had channel 2 and channel 3. I would imagine you can connect to the cable connection, but I wasn't able to get that to work. So anyhow, you need a working monitor. Then you need a working Atari 7800 console. Will a 5200 work? I don't know. I was told a 7800. I got a 7800. And then you need this piece, which connects to the 7800, and it also connects to the monitor. And this is actually from a 2600, so I know that works. You need a working 7800 controller. And you need a working game. And the last thing you need is the power source, which I'm making all kinds of messes here. So you need the power cord for a 7800, which is that part number and this kind of connector. This plugs into the 7800. This plugs into the wall outlet. It is Atari part number 24471-001. I'll connect them all up and show you next. Let's try this again. So this item, this connects into, in my case, the cable connection on my TV. And it's set on computer. And then the other end of it is plugged into the back of the 7800. The power source is plugged into the power connection on the 7800. And that is unique to the 7800. You can't use a 2600 or a 5200, at least not what I'm told. And then the last piece is connecting the hard to do this with one hand. Connecting the controller to the 7800, the left side controller, and that's connected. And then with it powered off, plug in a game. You don't really need a game, but I just want to prove that it's working. Turn it on, and we could actually start a game and prepare to qualify. Why isn't the sound working? So when I originally plugged it in, the sound wasn't working. I did the highly technical move of turning it off, removing the cartridge, blowing on the connection, and trying it again. So now let's see if we get the sound going. And okay. So prepare to qualify, and I can hit the button. So we do have a working setup. Now we need the other piece to actually test a Pokey. The last piece you need, besides a working monitor and a working 7800 and controller, is a ball blazer cart. An Atari 7800 ball blazer cart. I believe any 7800 game that uses a Pokey will work, but I believe there's only 2 or 3, maybe 4, and the other 3 are all very expensive, very rare, and highly sought after. Ball Blazer is the one. And so this is a Ball Blazer cartridge, and the Pokey, which goes there, has been removed, and you need the rest of the unit. A guy in England, very nice guy, pretty sharp guy, Ben, I'm only going to use his first name because I don't have permission to do this from him yet to make this video, but he actually, there was a guy even before him who came up with some kind of Pokey tester in this same situation. And Ben took it and modified it a little bit, made it a little bit better. And it goes from this over to this. So he added a socket for the pokies because you don't want to like solder in a pokey to test it and have to desolder it. And then he added in this piece here, which you can use to simulate dip switch testing because Pokey controls the dip switches. So, and he obviously has a special EEPROM, and then there's some other chip here which I don't even know what it is. So he added a couple things to a ball blazer cart, and from here you can test a Pokey. We'll start doing that next. Okay, again I went through the highly technical just reinserting the Pokey into the socket, into the ZIF socket, and then carefully reinserting the cartridge into the unit. And I'll be honest with you, from the day I got it, and he even warned me, it's touchy and it's a little finicky and you have to do it a couple times. But I've reinserted it, put it in now. Let's see if it comes up. And okay, it recognized the Pokey. Now there are 4 different channels. We'll get to the channel testing in a minute. I want to point out the input pins. It says input pins, but it's for all the dip switches. So right now they're all E4. This is what's testing the dip switches. If we turn it off and change all, and I have all the dip switches to one side. Now I'm going to turn it off, switch all the dip switches to the other side, and let's see what comes up. Okay, so we switched all the dip switches now going to the right side of it. And on the screen, all the input pins are saying 0000, which shows that all the dip switches were recognized. So the dip switch function of the Pokey is good. At this point now it's testing the 4 different channels. Okay, so now we've shown that the dip switches are good. And channel 1, it's hard to see that, but the 1 is highlighted in kind of yellow. 2, 3, and 4 are white. And it is a little clunky to use the controller, but you move the controller to the right. Now the volume is yellow. And I turn up the volume to whatever setting you want. Go to frequency. It's at 0. I can change the frequency. And as I change the frequency, I hear different frequencies. And if I go one more to the right, right now it's on 0, pink noise, rough whooshing, triangle wave, noise and tone, triangle wave. At that point, I would go to, well, I would turn the volume down to 0, or there's another way you could you can raise or lower the volume, you can mute it. I don't remember what the mute is. Mute it. There's a mute for the volume, but I can't remember what it is for the channel. But anyhow, so if you go back to where only the 1 is highlighted, you can do the left fire and mute the channel. So I've muted it, go down to number 2, so I'm not having competing channel volumes in there. I could test channel 2 by itself, go to the right, move the volume up, go to the right, change the frequency, move to the right again, change a bunch of different sounds, and then I go back to 2 where only 2 is highlighted and I could mute the channel. Go down to 3, same thing, change the volume, change the frequency, change the noise, and then I can go back to 3 and mute it. Go down to 4, change the volume, change the frequency, change the noise. At this point, I would consider this Pokey fully working. We'll do some tests of Pokeys that are not working so you can see what happens. So on this Pokey, all the dip switches are one direction. All the volumes are at 0, and we're hearing a lot of noise. That's indicating something is wrong. If I go through and turn up the volume, I'm not getting anything. I'll mute it. Turn up the volume. I'll mute that. I think the biggest thing, though, So we're going to turn it off and turn it back on. I'm going to turn it off, switch all the diff switches. They're all at 0 now. They should all be at E4 when we come back on. Changed all the diff switches. We turn it back on. Diff switches are not working, among other things. This Pokey's got a lot of noise on it too. We'll try the next one.